Okay, so now what we're going to do is work on this arm. Remember, I took the location and put it at 0, so now I can move that arm back, and I know exactly where it goes. Okay, so with that out of the way, these things are starting to get in my way. So my next feet is going like this. Oops, I forgot the ball joint. There we go. And then I'll take these objects right here and I'll apply their location. Then object, oops, transform origin to geometry. By applying their location, I also move the thing down to 0. So be careful of that. This one I need to be able to pivot around a little bit easier. Okay, I'm going to fill this hole. And then Control E, right click, move it in a little bit more, and then go in here and remove doubles. Make sure that worked. Good. Now this form and this form, if you look at it, that's a harsh transition between the two. So I'm really used to using a program called ZBrush to kind of blend these parts together, and I'm limiting myself to Blender for the fact that it's free and not $700, and I want students to be able to learn it. So what I'm going to have to do now is find a way to blend this joint and this joint together using only Blender. Well, if we look back at our original item here, is there any pieces we can use from it? And what about that box? Okay, what I want to do is I want a nice little nodule off of this to join to the arm. I want to be able to join these two together, but I want something from the original here. It's going to be a very tight squeeze because of this right here, this point. So I might be able to make something quicker than I could to augment this. So at this point I say use your imagination. Okay, so create object, snap cursor to selected, object transform origin to geometry, object snap cursor to selected, and then I'll make a cube in this area. I'll take and multi-res this item out, make it maybe a little bit bigger so I can grab a hold of it a little bit. And we're going to make a nice end cap for this. Multi-res, subdivide. Okay, what I'll do here is I'll go into my scope view and I'll start sculpting away at this form. Using the bracket keys, I can change the brush to be a little bit bigger. I'll subdivide this a little bit higher so I can make sure I'm not making a form that has a bunch of faces that are just collapsed in on itself. This is essentially like making a it's just using a piece of chewing gum. Okay, subdivide again. Sometimes it's easier to get it past and then hold shift and then you get to happy medium. And this takes a lot of patience, but would it be easier in ZBrush? A little bit. That's only because I know ZBrush though. Would it be easier for you in Blender? It'd be the same hardness in Blender or ZBrush because you might not know ZBrush. Weird to think that way, right? It's like, hey, I'm going to use a program to make it easier. It's only easier in your point of view, your perspective on it, because you know it. Doesn't mean it makes it easier. It's just easier for you. So when we tell people, hey, use this, it'll make it easier. It's funny because it's not the case. It's harder for them. Because then now they have to learn 2 applications. Okay, so I think I got this, and what I'm doing is just kind of picking it apart. Once I join these, I can blend them a little bit further. But for right now, I'm going to say that's good. So I'm going to take object 1 and object 2 and join them together. This one I'll preview all the way up. This one, the arm, cube 01. Boolean, union, cube 01. And apply. I can get rid of the chewing gum. And object, apply location, and I'll lift this object up and kind of work at blending the two forms together a little bit better. Okay, go back into sculpt mode. I could do that by holding shift. Again, I could add some resolution to this model, but I'm not going to do that. I just need to blend. So in edit mode, what I'll do is grab some vertices in this area. And I can use control to lasso them. And I'll remove some vertices by using the remove doubles and tone this back. So right there is a nice blend. If I need to move any more, I'll do it by hand. And I'll do that all the way around. Get a hole forming, stop yourself. Holes are bad. Now if this was a complete high-res model, you know, like let's say you had a model from a sculpting program or you sculpted it really high-res, this actually is easier. The lower res is harder because the higher res would allow you to just use the smooth tool. If they were both high-res, it'd be awesome. Alright, so there we go. I think that works out quite well. And now, let's see if I go back to sculpt mode and use shift a little bit, and yes, see how much nicer that looks? And a lot of that's not even going to come out in the print. There we go. Nice grafted on little muscle. Now I just have to blend this into the pipe itself. Do that in the next video. This one got long.